Coming up on the Cochrane Show with my dad, we're going to talk a little bit of baseball. And there's a rule in baseball that makes no sense. And there's some rules in other sports that need fixing as well. And we're going to talk about that. Thanks for watching the Cochrane Show. Like and subscribe. Let's go. Dad, did you watch the Blue Jays versus Dodgers game last night?
Well, John, yes and no. So, yes, I watched it, and no, I didn't finish it. And I'm in the same time zone as the Dodgers. I live on the west coast of Canada, and so the game ended around midnight or so, just after midnight, West Coast time we call it. And the poor folks in Toronto were watching the game. It was like 3 a.m. for them. So I made it till about the 15th inning. I went to bed about 11 o'clock.
Dad, was there a time in your life where, like, when did it flip for you, going, I don't need to watch this historically classic game anymore?
Somewhere the idea of I want to be a part of history gives way to I'm a responsible adult.
Yeah,
And
so when did that happen?
I don't know if I can pinpoint it. It might have been around the time you were born, John. And I realized, oh, I have responsibilities.
But now you have far less responsibilities. All you have is work. Like,
Yeah, I
you don't have
know.
kids at home. Come on.
Now I'm just old, right? I need my
Yeah.
sleep.
Yeah. For us in Australia, perfect, because it finished at 4 p.m. Like, I think it started at,
Oh my gosh.
what time would it have started? Was it a 6 hour game?
Yeah, it was over 6 hours. So yeah,
Yeah.
Ben, Australia would be like the perfect time zone.
Yeah. I think it started probably at 10 a.m. and finished it at 6 p.m. or 4.
I'm moving over there. In a lot of ways, in North America, the West Coast of North America is the perfect sports time zone because, like, the games that start at 7 o'clock in like Ontario or New York or Boston, those games all start at like 4 o'clock here, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. It's the perfect time zone. While we are recording this, John, I've got the Blue Jays game on, Blue Jays and Dodgers World Series, and I'm recording the hockey game. So I get to watch all of this tonight.
Until you get too tired. Anyhow, let's talk about that baseball game last night.
Yeah.
So it was 5 at the end of regular innings, 9
9
innings.
innings, yep, 5-5.
And holy, like, you just must not want to make a mistake. I think that shows the difference from playing to win to playing not to make a mistake, because everybody would have been like, to have no runs for a full baseball game, right? They played 2 baseball games last night.
Yeah.
And I think that just obviously you're more tired. It's getting colder, so it's harder to pitch, and players are just generally fatigued, and you don't have your starting pitchers in, but nobody wants to make a mistake in that moment.
I think you're right, John, but I think there's another element there too. And you sort of touched on it. It's not only the question of effort, like how much can you try or how much are you trying not to make a mistake. There's a lot of strategy going on too. Because now if you're the manager of either the Dodgers or the Blue Jays, you're trying to think through how long can my relievers stay in right now, the pitchers, right? And by the time you get into the 14th, 15th, 16th inning is, am I going to have anybody fresh for the next game? So there's an awful lot going on there. I said this to someone afterwards, even though because I'm Canadian, so I'm a Blue Jays fan, I was really disappointed in the result. But this is what I love about sports is all this kind of stuff, these epic moments, even if you go to sleep a little bit early.
Yeah, I mean, these epic moments that you decide not unbelievable. So on that point though, am I correct in saying that teams will purposefully not have all of their pitchers available for that game so that the next game they've got fresh ones? Like, pitchers aren't throwing back to back, are they?
So typically your pitchers, you've got two buckets, two categories of pitchers. You've got your starters, starters and relievers. Your starters, you've got to map out a strategy for them. What games are they going to play? Because they could play anywhere from, depending how they're doing, half the game to the whole game sort of thing. So you've got to keep them fresh because it takes a lot. Usually a pitcher, your starter, you're going to let them go for maybe 100 pitches, and then you got to get someone else in there. You go to your bullpen, you get the relievers in. But your relievers, you've got a whole bunch of them, but they're not equipped. They're not trained to play a whole game. They're in there for like 2 innings, sort of thing. So there's a lot of it's like a chess game for the managers trying to figure out in a long game like that, how do I keep my pitching going?
And this Otani guy in the Dodgers is unbelievable. I was trying to think, I don't watch a ton of baseball, but there haven't been too many players in history where when they come up to bat, you're almost expecting a home run. And
That's
I'd
exactly it.
say David Ortiz might have been the last player where you sort of had that feeling, like 2013 and 2004, when he was, he gets on one of those heaters, and you're surprised when he doesn't hit a home run. And that's sort of the feeling that people have with Otani, so much so that the Blue Jays did the thing that I hate the most in major league sports, intentionally walking a guy. Like, how is this allowed in a sport? People are talking about baseball, how right now it's really popular because of the World Series, but there's always debate, like, how do we make this sport better?
Right.
And I think that this one rule change could make the sport drastically better. Like, we got to get rid of this intentionally walking thing.
I
People are
think you're
paying,
I think you're
people
onto
are
something here, John. There's I understand and you understand the strategy behind it. If you're the manager, and as you say, he was in such a zone that even if it wasn't a home run each time, you're concerned that he's going to at least get a multiple base hit. But he's going to make it to second base or third base or something like that, if not a home run. So now you're in extra innings. One run makes the difference. I get why they're doing what they're doing, but on the other hand, I think, John, you make a really good point. You're kind of sucking the wind out of the sport too. It's like, really? The guy that we've kind of all paid money to see, or the guy we've all watched the game to watch, you're not going to let us do that because of your strategy. It's like the managers, they found a loophole in the game, right?
and it's ridiculous. And obviously, you can't do that if the bases are loaded. But you're right, what you said. People are paying money to watch this guy come up to bat, what, 4 times in a normal game,
Yeah.
and you're going to tell me that you're not going to let the fans see him actually hit the ball, but you're going to allow teams to say we're just going to walk you. So, Dad, in this episode of the Cochrane Show, I want to fix that rule,
You're going to
and then
fix it.
I'm going to
Okay.
fix it, and then we're going to look at other sports rules that coaches use it as their strategy, but it totally ruins the game.
Yeah.
And what we can do to fix that sport.
Sure.
So in baseball, right now, with the intentional walk, they thought they were fixing the problem by saying, oh, we just won't let the pitchers pitch the ball. We'll just tell them that what's that? That's speeding the game up a little bit, but that's not getting the problem out of the game.
No, you're kind of, again, you're sucking the life out of the game when you're doing that.
Yeah. Taking all the excitement out, and it's get the strategy, but it makes the viewing experience a lot worse than it should be. So instead of you can keep intentional walks in the game. However, if you choose to intentionally, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Tell the player we're intentionally walking and let them walk. No, the pitcher is going to have to pitch 4 pitches. If all 4 pitches are balls and they do not have any strikes, then the player doesn't just get 1 base, he gets an extra base. So it's a 2 base walk.
Okay.
So you are creating extra consequences for poor performance.
John, that's very interesting because now what you've done is by making sure that at least one strike, pitch is a strike. In other words, you're giving this batter at least one shot to nail that thing. If you choose not to do that, if you choose to throw 4 straight balls, you're actually putting the guy not just on first, you're putting him in scoring position, right?
And maybe it could be, this might be taking it too far, but everybody on base progresses a base. Maybe that's
Oh,
so if you've got a guy on third and you intentionally walk, he's going to score. So not only do you get, because coaches will still try and, if you got no one on base, yeah, we'll intentionally walk Otani. Like most of the time last night, no one was on base. So they could have still intentionally walked him and he would have just gone to second base and it wouldn't have mattered.
you know what? You had me up until everybody moves a base. Maybe that's the way to go. I think that it's an appropriate punishment that if you intentionally walk some guy, that he goes to second base. because that's like I said, there's a massive difference in baseball between first base and second base. Second base, you are now in a scoring position. On many base hits, you can score from second base. Whether or not everybody has to advance, I'm not sure, but
I'm not
you
saying
wanna
everyone moves 2 bases, I'm just saying that, move the person on third to home. Maybe that's unrealistic, and maybe I cut that out, but just an idea. That's how we're gonna fix the intentional walking saga that's happening in Major League Baseball, that I cannot believe it's a legal play with, like, getting 1 base. It just makes no sense. So, Major League Baseball, fix it. Dad,
exactly. You got a loophole there. John has given you a solution to change the rule, not just to make the game better, but to fix a problem that's being manipulated.
correct. And it by and large, or with a ripple effect, it's gonna make the game better. You're gonna see more home runs, which is what people want because you're only walking people that are good at hitting home runs. And you're gonna just more excitement, takes the boredom out of the game, and it's just better. So that's the baseball. Dad, do you have any other rules that coaches take advantage of that ruins the game?
Well, I've thought about times when this has happened before, when professional leagues have identified an existing legal, rule in the game that the teams are manipulating, which is helping that team, but it's hurting the game. So an example of this, and you'll be surprised, John, that I start with basketball, but I was looking one time at the lowest scoring game in NBA history, and it was 2-0. Yeah, this is back in
Hear
the
that wasn't the WNBA?
No, this is legit. So what happened was a team knowing they were massively outmanned, right? Like they were a terrible team. They got the first basket and then they just dribbled the ball the whole game.
Oh, shot clock.
And so in 1954, the NBA introduced the shot clock kind of thing. So they saw a problem in the rules and they fixed it.
Mm.
Another one, John, that I think I mentioned to you is in hockey. A lot of fans get frustrated by this, but what a lot of teams are doing, if they were under a lot of pressure in their own end of the rink, they would just take the puck and shoot it over the glass. Now all the pressure is gone and you get a face off, you get new players out there. But let's face it, for the team that's causing you all that pressure, that seems pretty stupid, right? So the NHL put in a new rule. If you're under pressure, you throw the puck over the glass, you get a penalty. So I think the leagues have done a good job, many leagues, of finding problems like this and saying, you know what, we're going to change the rule to fix that problem. And I think there's other opportunities out there we could look at.
I actually tell you one of my favorite ones, maybe this is controversial. The NFL has absolutely nailed the kickoff. Like it has brought
Yes.
excitement back into the sport. So
Yep.
what happened was you used to kick off from the 20, I believe, and, a lot of kicks were returned by then, and then there was maybe it's the 25, and then they were seeing a bunch of injuries, so they said, "Oh, we'll move the ball up to the 35 to
Right.
do kickoffs." Well, every kicker's kicking that 10 yards out of the end zone, so
Sure.
it was just a formality, like, what the heck are we kicking for?
You see the ball getting ready for a kickoff. I'm going out to the kitchen to get a bowl of chips or
Yeah,
something.
it used to be just a 100-meter dash exercise, right? The kicking team, it was just a race to see who could get to the end zone first. That's all kickoffs was. And then last year, they made an improvement by still wanting to keep players safe. They said, we're going to kick the ball. I'm going to say it's from the 30 still, but our players are going to line up 10 yards apart from the opposing team. And if you kick the ball into, I don't really understand how the zones worked last year, but it didn't make a huge difference because you still kicked a touchback and the ball was still getting placed at the 35. Or I want to get these numbers at the 35, I think it was. Now, this year, they made another adaptation because still no kicks were getting returned.
Right.
Where if you kick it into the end zone, the ball is going all the way out to the 40, I believe. So it is a huge consequence to kick a touchback. And
So
if you
it's a rule that not only makes the game more interesting, but it reintroduces a piece of strategy into the kicking game, right?
and yes, and it just makes kick like there's so many more kick returns happening at the moment. So if the ball goes into the touchback, it goes to the opponent's 40-yard line, which That's a huge difference. If it lands in the landing zone and then is a touchback, the ball can be placed at the 20-yard line,
Right.
which that's a huge amount of difference or distance that can take place. So I think the NFL has absolutely nailed the kickoff, and I would love people to comment whether they think it's made a difference, if you like it or if you don't like it. If I've made it more confusing for you, because it is confusing, but I just love seeing more kickoff returns happening.
I agree. And I think for so many parts of the NFL, for the pro game of how it has advanced and developed in so many ways, kudos to the NFL for saying, you know what, our kicking game is not that strong. Let's see if we can make it more exciting. The I saw an interview a while ago with Doug Flutie, and you probably know where I'm going with this. Flutie was one of those rare players who did excelled in U.S. college football, had some NFL, and he played in my favorite league, which is the Canadian Football League. He was asked one time, "Are there any rules in Canada that should be used in the United States?" And he said, "You know, one rule he really loved in Canada was that on any kick, punt, field goal, or kickoff, anyone who lined up behind the kicker is considered onside and they could recover a kick kind of thing." And he said that put everyone on notice kind of thing. And you would see it, the ball's kicked down there, and suddenly you've got three guys racing down there from the kicking team to try to recover the ball. So I don't know if the NFL will ever do that, but I do love that the NFL is looking at, what are some parts of the game that are being exploited or are boring, whatever it is, and what can we do to change the rules to notch it up a little bit.
I don't know where I stand on this one, but the big controversial play right now in the NFL is the tush push. Are you aware of this debate?
I am, but why don't you expand on it a little bit?
All right. So right now, the Philadelphia Eagles have made this play famous where it's pretty much a quarterback sneak on steroids.
Yep.
Because Jalen Hurts can squat 600 pounds, it works for them. The quarterback lines up under center, and the linemen get as low as possible and dive forward with the quarterback being pushed in the bum by two players behind them. That's what
Right.
the push is.
Yep.
And it's pretty much unstoppable. Now, I for a long time, I was on the side of it's a football play.
Right.
It's not a big deal. Instead of doing a quarterback sneak, they're doing a tush push. I started to change my mind a little bit seeing the Eagles do it like 3 plays in a row to get like 3 yards. Like they weren't just doing it on a typical quarterback sneak yardage. They were using it as a play. Now, I don't want to hear all of this. We got to keep players safe. I'm in Australia. You do this in rugby all the time. Like Americans sound so soft when they talk about player safety compared to what happens in other sports around the world. Like, suck it up, get over it. But it is a boring play. And I do think I would like to see the NFL do something about the play. All you have to do is say, the quarterback can't be pushed. That's all you gotta do. Because that's the main thing that's happening right now is, you can't take quarterback sneaks out of the game. That's a part of the game. And normally that happens maybe twice a game, maybe a little bit less these days with how much quarterbacks are getting paid. But just say, "No hand on the tush."
Absolutely. John, I think the reason I think your solution would work is the simplicity of it. Because sometimes rules, if they're so complicated, no one even understands them. Are we violating it or not? But as you say, the quarterback can't be pushed. Problem solved. I'll give you another example of this from the NFL is pyramided. If a team wants to block a kick, you can jump, but you can't jump on someone's back to go up there.
Mm.
And the league basically said no pyramiding. You cannot leverage yourself on the back of somebody else to block a kick. The best rules and the ones that work are the simplest.
Yeah. I know in hockey you were talking about the trapezoid. Tell our fans that don't watch hockey, what's the trapezoid?
Sure. Again, the what we're talking about, John, are ways that the game has been diminished or slowed down any sport, right? Because of teams legitimately taking advantage of kind of loopholes in the rules. So what one of the offensive strategies in hockey, there's two ways to advance the puck into the offensive zone. One is to carry the puck in. In other words, you stick handle, you carry the puck in as an offensive player. Or number two is you shoot it in and then you go and get it. So when you shoot it in, the puck goes behind the net or into one of the corners, and then your forwards go in and try to get the puck back. Well, as a defensive strategy, what teams started to do is to train their goaltenders to say, don't stay in your net. You can get to the puck before they do. Go to the corner, get the puck, and just throw it back out again. And it really diminished scoring. It really diminished offense. And so the league looked at this and said, okay, we've got a solution. And if you watch NHL hockey now, John, or any of our listeners or viewers, you'll see they've got two lines now behind the net. It's called the trapezoid. And it basically says, goalies, you can keep doing what you're doing as long as you stay within the trapezoid, if you stay behind your net. But if you go outside of that, if you go to the corners to try to get the puck, that's a penalty. And that has cleaned up the game a lot and it's created more offense. So, again, another example of a league recognizing the problem, saying, we got to fix this loophole. Let's put in a simple rule that can increase the excitement of the game.
Correct.
Hey, can I toss another one at you?
Yeah, please go.
This one will probably raise some controversy from soccer purists, but I want to talk about soccer for a minute. So, I mean, I love soccer. Right now, my North American team, which a lot of soccer purists won't like or football purists won't like, but the Vancouver Whitecaps are having a fantastic season in the MLS. They beat Dallas the other day in the first game of a two-game series. Here's the thing that I think around the world drives fans crazy, and that is the player doing the big flop. You know the flop, right? And so it may not even result in a yellow or a red card, but it simply stops the forward momentum of the game. And then we know what's going to happen. The guy's going to writhe around in pain. He's going to hold on to his knee. You look at his face, you think that death is about to warm over. And then once he realizes that, okay, they've got the break they needed, he gets up, he limps a little bit, and he's okay. Why don't we just say, look, there's no problem going down. But if you go down on the field, if you stop the play, you have to leave the pitch for 10 minutes, right? It can be like in football, they have now the concussion protocol kind of thing, right? Same idea. If you appear to be injured, okay, and not so appearance to actually stop the flow of the game, no problem. We want to take care of you, but you're off the pitch for 10 minutes, something like that. That could be one way to close that loophole in soccer.
I like it because they actually do have a rule in place where it's a yellow card if you are called for flopping. However, that's up to the judgment of the referee. So
Exactly.
I think with calls like this, you want to take as much judgment from the referee away and just have it clear and defined. If you are down on the grass long enough that you are delaying the game or that a trainer has to come out, yeah. And maybe if the trainer has to come out of onto the field, you're out for the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's make this because what this does, John, this will legitimately protect genuinely injured players, right? And at the same time, it will protect the integrity of the game. And let's face it, it probably the biggest problem that most people have with soccer, whether you're a fan or not, is the flopping all over the place, right?
I've
So,
got one for the NBA
yeah,
and then I've got another discussion that I want to have with you after this. I've talked about this before, but in the NBA, there is a huge, really annoying problem where players feel like they didn't foul the player, but a foul was called. And so what they will do is they will do this, which means replay, 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 because in no instant does a player ever foul anybody. So it's always this, I didn't touch him, all ball. And the replay is like on the arm, and it's really annoying. So let me put it this way.
okay,
Also in the NBA, any player that does this gets a timeout for the team. If you don't have a timeout, there you are penalized as the team. But anybody on the floor that does makes the timeout symbol is granted a timeout for the team, whether the whole team actually wants it or not. Okay. Do the same thing for replay. Anytime a player does this on the floor, you are given a replay, whether your coach wants to do it or not. That will stop people from doing it altogether. It's very annoying when it happens. It makes them all look like clowns, and I don't know. It takes away the legitimacy of what this like. You just never know if the
hey,
ref made a good call or not. So
I think
this
you're on to a good one.
this is binding.
Well, tell you what, even though you might not think I have any credibility in this, I want to venture into NBA and suggest one as well. That's also in the hand gesture variety. Okay. Here's the one that drives me crazy. And this is, I wouldn't say it's unique to basketball, but it's one that every NBA coach does that drives me crazy. And that is a foul that has not been called is the coach looks at the ref and does this, right? I don't know if you see like what? That to me is a technical foul right there. You put your hands up in the what foul. Yeah, that's what I think about that.
Just with the coaches, not the players.
Well,
The
you
players
should
do
do
it
it with the
far more
players
than the
too.
coaches.
It's just that for the coaches, it's become like mandatory that this is part of their coaching arsenal kind of thing. I think it's disrespectful for officiating and it's boring. It's like come up with a new signal. In the meantime, technical foul.
We may okay, I can see your point,
Thank
and
you.
we might need to disagree on that one.
Okay.
Final one, final thing. Across all sports,
Okay.
the biggest problem that all sports has is refereeing. Hands down. By the way, baseball, what is the ump doing? Why do you need an ump? You've already got the digital square. Like, why are you making a judgment, the ump make that call when obviously you can just have technology guarantee a striker ball? That I digress. That's not my point. But
Well, by the way, the reason you still need a flesh and blood human being there, if for no other reason, is to make the call at the plate. Did the throw to home plate beat the runner or not?
here's how you fix. Wait, the home plate to do this, like not about the strike. Okay, so the guy can be there, but just get an earpiece that the robot says strike or ball. Refereeing,
All right.
accountability. We got to have some accountability with the refs, right? In the NBA, they created this 2-minute report to say what calls were made correctly and what calls were missed. There's still no accountability in that. And yes, they're refing to see if they can make it into the finals. So the better refs that make the better calls make it into the finals. But okay, if a player does something, has poor performance, they're getting slandered by the media. Sometimes they're getting fined for their behavior on the court. Like the players have a lot more to lose than the referees do. When the referees sometimes have egregious performances that don't get talked about. And they still get to, in the NBA, you'll get benched if you don't play well. If you don't ref well, you've still got your 82 game season ahead of you to continue to ref. So I think that there needs to be more accountability in hockey, in NBA, and in NFL for refing.
So I agree with you in principle, and I'm going to give you what I think are the two most compelling arguments on both sides of this discussion. Because what a lot of people have talked about, one method of accountability is after the game, there's a media scrum with the head coach, with all the players, and so on. Why isn't anyone talking to the official, like the head referee in football, the head referee in hockey and basketball, and so on? Why can't we talk to them to ask about the call they made or the call they didn't make? What did you see that we didn't see, and so on? And I get that. There's a big part of my sports fan's heart that says, yeah, I want to hear from the referee about why he made that call or did he miss something. But here's the other side of it. By the time that referee is in front of the media with all the cameras and the microphones, that blown call, we have seen it on TV slowed down into microsecond, slow motion. So we can say, he missed that one there. And to me, if I'm the referee, the answer to almost everything is that I'm on the field or I'm on the ice or I'm on the court and I'm watching this in real time. I don't have slow motion when all this is happening. So I agree that there should be some sort of accountability and maybe putting them in front of the microphones is a first step in that direction.
Or if they make a horrible, horrible call that decides the game, fine them, give them a fine.
Well, I suppose the way that happens now is that if you're a referee and you have a track record of bad calls, you're probably not doing the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I know there's probably no solution, but I think there's got to be a way that refing is. Why can't we talk about the refs in their post game interviews? Like, you get fined for saying, yeah, that was a bad call.
Right.
You can't even talk about their performance. Like,
I will say this, John, is there anything in sports that you would probably hate to do the most other than refereeing. I would never want to be a referee in pro sports. And it's all because of this. Because when do they notice you? It's when you haven't done anything in the whole game. They notice you when there's been a perceived bad call or whatever it is. I wouldn't want to do it.
I think that you should not notice the refs. I think that's a good reffing game where they are making the calls that are obvious, but they're not trying to meet. It's like when you can tell when the police are after getting tickets, like they got to meet their quota of fines. I sometimes that's like what it is for refs. Like on prime time, when you're getting more attention on the ref than you are on the star players, then anyhow, that's what grinds my gears is reffing. Reffings get off my back. Let me get off that. Dad, I want to talk to you really quickly about what I want to call group chat players. Do you have any idea what you think I mean by group chat players? All right. Are you in any group chats?
Yes, not sports related.
No, but like our family group chat. But let's
Yeah,
say,
and work things and so on.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's say you are in a group chat with buddies that you all love sports. I'm in a few of these. There are those players where you message the group chat because of how unbelievable that player is playing, right? It's like
Sure.
Otani in baseball. Like
Yep.
you're talking about Otani in your group chat and you're like, watch TV right now. He's at bat. He's going to do something amazing. So players like that. And I want to ask you what players in history across all sports have been group chat players. I'll give you a couple more examples. Right now, there's an NBA player called Victor Wembanyama. Ridiculous. Like you just laugh when you watch him because human beings shouldn't be able to do what he does. Steph Curry was another one. He could just go off at any point and you're gonna tell your friends you have to watch right now like this is crazy. Do you have any other players like that, maybe in hockey that you can remember? Maybe there's some right now.
So, as I understand the definition, they're not just a great player. They're not just someone who has had incredible stats. They're like a game changer. Like, when they're on, you want to tell your friends, watch this guy because something's going to happen.
They're gonna be on Sports Center top 10.
Righto. Okay. So, a couple top of mind. I'll say one that would be and one that wouldn't be. And I'll start with hockey because that's my favorite sport. One that might not be, and this could be controversial, I would not necessarily be Wayne Gretzky because the whole thing about Gretzky's play, the reason he was dominant was he was so subtle. His skills were kind of under the radar kind of thing. And when he got the puck on his stick, he had an incredible shot and his passes were unbelievable. But he was like stealth, like the way he moved around. It was unbelievable. One you've heard me talk about him before on the podcast, John, was Bobby Orr. Bobby Orr was a defenseman for the Boston Bruins back in the 1970s. He was a guy that when he stepped over the board, you could, in whether it was a home game in Boston or on the road, you could feel 20,000 people catch their breath because something incredible is going to happen. So yeah, if there was group chat in the 70s, I'd be telling my friends, watch this guy, something incredible is going to happen. He'd be a defenseman. Back in the days when defensemen did not score, he'd get the puck behind his own net and he would skate in around everybody and get a goal. So I'd start with probably Bobby Orr with that.
And I think currently players would be Connor McDavid. I would put
Yep.
McDavid in this category.
Absolutely. His speed is blazing. And it's not just his speed, it's his speed with the puck. You know,
Yeah,
what
he's
he could do
electric.
with the puck on his stick.
Yeah, just absolutely electric. And sometimes these players aren't like the best players of all time, like you said. Sometimes they get on these streaks or they're just on a heat. Like Tiger Woods, obviously he is the best golfer of all time, but Tiger Woods, for people that didn't like golf, would watch golf because he would just capture your imagination and he made you want to play golf with how he would hit the ball. Tom Brady wasn't the most exciting. Michael Vick might have been more of a good example, but when the Patriots were down 28-3 and you could just see Tom Brady begin to dissect the Falcons in that Super Bowl, like he was one of those players as well. So I don't know. I think that's just a fun conversation about who are those players that jump off the screen and
Yeah,
create
and
excitement.
absolutely. I tell you another hockey player who comes to mind for a very different reason was Mark Messier.
Okay.
Messier had the ability to, on his own, almost will his team to win. You know, like you could just see by the way he played with a tenacity, a ferocity, even like he was just so blinding determined that he was going to win that the whole team would sort of get caught up in that. And I remember when the Rangers won the Stanley Cup, this is 100 years ago, back in '94, it was almost exclusively on the shoulders of Mark Messier because the whole team kind of rose up to that. So yeah, he was a guy when he would get on the ice, the game would change. And if there was group chats in the early '90s, I would have been group chatting my buddies. Hey, watch this guy. Something special is going to happen.
We've got to, I'd love to have people, if we miss someone, to comment below. Who are your group chat players? Dad, do you want to know who's winning game four right now, or are you recording it?
Both. I'm recording it, but I want to know who's winning right now.
So I can tell you?
You can.
All right. So right now it's it's the fourth, and it's 2-1 Toronto.
Hey, well, there you go.
Go
We'll see if they
Jays.
can hang on to that. And like we were saying before, John, and I don't know when this is going to be posted. I don't know when people are going to be watching this, but that game last night, game 3 of the World Series, 18 innings. And I was disappointed. I wanted the Blue Jays to win, but man, did it ever affirm to me why we love sports, right?
That's right. Just not enough to stay up for them. Well, Dad, thanks for joining us on the Cochrane Show again. And Canucks play right now. Blue Jays are on. How much better can life be with sports? Go Blue Jays, go Canucks. Let's go.